The silence of Los Angeles airport was shattered when BTS's Jin and Jungkook suddenly appeared, triggering scenes that no one had anticipated. Crowds surged, security scrambled, and within minutes the terminal transformed into a stage of chaos and speculation. Why did the two global icons leave the city so abruptly, and why does HYBE now stand at the center of unrelenting scrutiny from ARMY worldwide? What seemed at first like a simple return flight has become one of the most dissected events in recent BTS history. Eyewitnesses described the atmosphere as tense, with armies flooding the terminal while security teams attempted to carve a passage for Jin and Jungkook. But behind the roar of the crowd, the questions hung heavier than the cheers. Was this departure planned in secrecy? And if so, what was the reason? The timing could not have been more peculiar. Jin had been making headlines across the United States with his solo stages, and Jungkook's sudden presence in Los Angeles had fueled rumors of a potential reunion moment. Instead, what the public witnessed was their joint exit under circumstances that looked rushed and deliberately shielded from media exposure. The fact that no prior information had been shared only deepened the mystery. HYBE, the company that has always stood as the gatekeeper of BTS's global operations, now faces an intense storm of speculation. Every move, from the number of security guards deployed to the choice of flight, is being analyzed by ARMY with surgical precision. Was HYBE attempting to conceal something, or were Jin and Jungkook themselves seeking privacy from the weight of worldwide attention? Observers noted details that only heightened the tension. Jin, known for his calm composure, appeared visibly serious, while Jungkook, often expressive in public, kept his demeanor restrained, avoiding interaction even with the cameras that relentlessly followed. The contrast between their usual warmth and their reserved behavior sent ripples of concern across fan communities. Could something have occurred in Los Angeles that pushed them to leave without a public farewell? The more footage circulates online, the more fragmented the narrative becomes. Some armies argue that the duo's movements were deliberately choreographed to avoid potential risks. Others suggest that HYBE's tight-lipped approach signals something larger looming behind the scenes. And yet, the lack of explanation only intensifies suspicion. In an age where every detail of a celebrity's life can be traced, the absence of clarity is itself a dramatic statement. The incident also highlights the evolving dynamics between BTS members, HYBE, and ARMY. For years, the bond between artist and fan has been characterized by openness and connection. Now, faced with a moment shrouded in secrecy, ARMY feels compelled to fill in the silence with questions and theories. What did Jin whisper to Jungkook before stepping into the security lane? Why did the HYBE-assigned guards appear more rigid than usual? And why was the departure coordinated at an hour when fewer media outlets were present? The speculation stretches beyond the airport. Some believe the sudden departure may be linked to upcoming schedules in Korea, while others argue that the urgency of the moment points to internal matters HYBE is not ready to disclose. Regardless of the truth, one fact is undeniable. The sight of Jin and Jungkook leaving Los Angeles together has become a global spectacle, with every second of their journey dissected across multiple platforms. The emotional dimension cannot be ignored. Armies present at the airport reported tears, shouts, and the overwhelming need to capture the moment on their phones, knowing that something extraordinary was unfolding. These were not ordinary departures. They were events layered with symbolism, vulnerability, and unspoken messages. Jin, recently back on stage after military service, and Jungkook, whose solo career has reached international heights, walked side by side into an aircraft that carried with it more than just passengers. It carried the weight of a narrative yet untold. As the plane lifted off, the questions only multiplied. Why now? Why together? And why under such secrecy? HYBE's silence has become the loudest sound in this unfolding story, and ARMY is unwilling to let the matter fade into obscurity. Every detail of their return to Korea will be magnified, and every interaction scrutinized for hidden meanings. This moment stands as a reminder that BTS, even in their most ordinary actions, cannot escape extraordinary consequences. Two figures walking through an airport became a spectacle powerful enough to ignite headlines across continents. The departure from Los Angeles is no longer just a logistical movement. It has transformed into a mystery that demands answers, and until those answers surface, ARMY's focus will remain locked on HYBE, questioning what lies behind the carefully controlled silence. Was this a simple journey home, or the first sign of something far more significant waiting to be revealed? Under the glaring lights of Los Angeles International Airport, where cameras never rest and whispers travel faster than any official announcement, the sudden appearance of Jin and Jungkook walking side by side sent an unmistakable shockwave across continents. It was not merely a routine flight home. It became a moment layered with symbolism, timing, and intrigue. Why would two of BTS's most closely watched members, both carrying enormous weight in public expectation, choose to leave the city so abruptly? And more importantly, what chain of decisions behind closed doors led to this calculated departure? Observers noted that neither Jin nor Jungkook showed visible signs of exhaustion, yet their expressions carried the subtle tension of individuals under immense scrutiny. Their composure seemed deliberate, almost as though both were trained to conceal more than they were revealing. Each photograph, each short video clip captured by fans and the press, became evidence dissected by millions of ARMYs online. Was it coincidence that their flight schedule was never disclosed beforehand? Or was this secrecy orchestrated to minimize speculation that, ironically, only intensified once their departure became public knowledge? The atmosphere at the airport itself was far from ordinary. Reports described unusual crowd control measures, heightened security, and carefully staged pathways that separated the idols from the public more stringently than usual. This unusual tightening of protocol quickly drew attention. Was HYBE, the company overseeing BTS's activities, attempting to shield the artists from potential chaos? Or was it deliberately steering the narrative to hide something more complex? The unanswered questions fueled countless interpretations, and as history has shown, silence only sharpens speculation. The timing of their return to Korea raises even more questions. Jin, fresh from his own highly publicized solo activities following his military discharge, had been drawing international spotlight. Jungkook, on the other hand, has repeatedly been the subject of debates surrounding his artistic direction and personal visibility. For them to exit Los Angeles together, without public fanfare or any formalized context, seems too significant to be dismissed as coincidence. Why now? Why together? Why in such secrecy? As ARMY flooded social platforms with raw reactions, ranging from tears of pride to waves of worry, another narrative emerged. Was this moment not just about Jin and Jungkook, but about the company itself? For years, HYBE has maintained a reputation for tightly controlling the flow of information, orchestrating moments that appear spontaneous, but are, in truth, deeply planned. Could this sudden flight be part of a larger strategy? Something connected either to their upcoming activities, a hidden collaboration, or even internal decisions yet to surface. Tension intensified as images from the airport spread globally in real time. The crowd that managed to witness the moment described the scene as surreal. Jin walked slightly ahead, maintaining his usual dignified composure, while Jungkook, more reserved than usual, kept close. Their synchronization suggested unity, but their silence left the world without context. Every detail, the way Jin adjusted his mask, The way Jungkook avoided prolonged eye contact with cameras became signals interpreted endlessly online. If nothing was being hidden, why did it feel as though everything was being hidden? For ARMY, the emotional weight was immense. Many recalled previous instances when abrupt movements foreshadowed major announcements, album releases, hiatuses, even military enlistments. The memory of 2022, when BTS shocked the world with the news of focusing on solo projects, remains fresh. Could this unexpected return home mark the beginning of another pivotal chapter? Or is it a signal that larger internal pressures are once again reshaping the trajectory of the world's most influential group? Speculation spread like wildfire. Some argued that Jin and Jungkook's departure was linked to personal matters, while others insisted it was related to professional obligations undisclosed to the public. Yet the common denominator remained the same: HYBE's silence. No explanation was offered, no narrative was provided, and that silence amplified the mystery. Fans, left with only fragmented visuals and unverified accounts, constructed their own truths, making this event less about clarity and more about collective interpretation. The dramatic spectacle at the airport underscored a recurring theme. BTS's actions have never belonged solely to them. They ripple across industries, economies, and cultural dialogues. Jin and Jungkook walking through that terminal was not simply a matter of celebrities boarding a plane. It was a moment heavy with consequence, a reminder that every movement from these figures carries a weight far beyond the physical. The question that lingers, unresolved and haunting, is not simply where they were going but what they were leaving behind. And as their flight soared across the Pacific, ARMY was left on the ground, piecing together the silence, wondering, is this departure the beginning of something extraordinary, or the start of something the world is not yet prepared to confront?